The library was silent. Dust motes danced in the faint beams of sunlight. Daniel loved old libraries, the smell of paper and the musty scent of ages past. He wandered deeper into the stacks, his fingers trailing along the spines of forgotten books. He turned a corner, and there it was. Tucked between two massive volumes was a small, leather-bound diary. The leather was cracked and dry, the color of old bone. An odd energy seemed to emanate from it.
What's this?
Daniel hesitated, then gently pulled the diary from the shelf. It was surprisingly heavy in his hands. He blew off the dust, revealing a tarnished clasp. What secrets did it hold? He knew he shouldn't open it. A strange feeling of dread washed over him, but the diary seemed to call to him, urging him to unlock its secrets. His fingers trembled as he undid the clasp. The pages were yellowed and brittle, the ink faded but still legible. The first entry was dated July 18th, 1888. The handwriting was elegant, almost calligraphic. It belonged to a woman named Sarah.
Sarah, who were you?
Daniel started to read. Sarah's words painted a picture of a life long ago, filled with balls and suitors, laughter and secrets. But a darkness began to creep into her words, a growing fear that someone or something was watching her. Night after night, Sarah wrote of strange occurrences. Whispers followed her in the dark. Shadows moved in the corners of her vision. Her once cheerful entries became filled with terror. One entry sent chills down Daniel's spine.
He is here. The shadows have brought him. I can hear him scratching at my window, calling my name.
Daniel felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He slammed the diary shut, his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone in the silent library. Section 4, Whispers in the Stacks.
He quickly stood up, intending to return the diary to its shelf.
But as he turned, he thought he saw a flicker of movement out of the corner of his eye.
Daniel.
A whisper, soft and indistinct, seemed to drift from the end of the aisle. Daniel froze, his breath catching in his throat. He slowly turned back towards the sound, his eyes wide with fear. The shadows between the bookshelves seemed to deepen, taking on strange, unsettling shapes.
What is this?
He could feel a presence now, cold and menacing, watching him from the darkness.
Daniel.
The whisper came again, closer this time, and Daniel could have sworn he heard his name. Section 5. No escape. Panic surged through him, a cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. Daniel stumbled back, his foot catching on a stack of books that seemed to appear out of nowhere.
No, this can't be happening.
He fell, the diary slipping from his grasp, its pages fluttering like the wings of a trapped bird. As he scrambled to his feet, he heard a low growl from the shadows. He didn't hesitate. Daniel ran, his mind racing with fear. He ran through the aisles, his heart pounding in his ears, the sound of his own ragged breaths echoing in the silence. The library's oppressive atmosphere seemed to close in on him, but the presence followed him, its cold touch brushing against his neck, sending shivers down his spine.
Get away from me, leave me alone!
He could hear the whispers growing louder, circling him, taunting him, their words unintelligible but filled with malice. He had to escape, had to get away from the diary and whatever evil it had unleashed. The diary seemed to pulse with a dark energy. But the library seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth with no exit, each turn leading him deeper into the unknown. Section 6. Back where it belongs. Daniel finally burst out of the stacks and into the main library, his heart pounding in his chest. He raced towards the front entrance, his lungs burning with every breath he took, the shadows still clinging to his heels, relentless and menacing. As he threw open the heavy oak doors, he risked a glance back. The library was empty. The shadows were gone, vanished as if they had never existed. The only sound was the beating of his own heart, echoing in the silence.
Was it real? He whispered to himself, his voice trembling.
Daniel stood there for a moment, catching his breath, his mind racing with questions. He tried to convince himself that it had all been a nightmare, a figment of his imagination. But deep down, he knew what he had to do. He couldn't leave it unresolved. With trembling hands, he picked up the diary and walked back into the library, determined to face whatever awaited him. He placed it back on the shelf, tucking it between the two large volumes, hoping to seal away the terror. As if trying to seal it away forever, he stepped back, feeling a strange sense of closure. Section 7. The Diary's Grip. Daniel hurried out of the library, not daring to look back. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the fear that gripped his soul. He never wanted to set foot in that place again. The memories of what he had seen and felt were too overwhelming, too terrifying to confront. As he walked away, he thought he heard a faint whisper on the wind, like a sigh of contentment. It was as if the diary itself was pleased with his fear, feeding off his terror. He never forgot his encounter with the diary. The sinister presence that seemed to emanate from its pages haunted him, and sometimes, late at night, he would wake from a dream, his body bathed in cold sweat, convinced he could hear the whisper of his name and the soft scratching of pen on paper. The nightmares were relentless, a constant reminder of the diary's grip on his mind. The diary remained on the shelf, its secrets locked away, yet it seemed to pulse with a dark energy, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself again. But some things are not meant to be forgotten. The diary's presence lingered, a shadow in the corner of his mind, always there, always watching. And the diary waited patiently, its dark influence slowly spreading, searching for the next soul to ensnare. It knew that eventually, someone would come, drawn by the same curiosity that had trapped Daniel.